Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's been a bit of a down week. We had the sort of turmoil on Sunday and Monday with the tariffs and sort of going ahead, not going ahead. The China ones ended up going ahead, and that sort of took a fair knock on the market. A lot of leverage, which we'll come to a little bit later. But yeah, the Bitcoin has sort of held up reasonably well. Altcoins sort of getting whacked quite a bit. Ethereum in particular, it's 2,600 now, but I think it went to sort of 2,100. Not particularly good at all. But yeah, let's have a look at some of the news. So the CoinShares report is slightly more muted, but still positive, sort of compared to the last couple of weeks. It's okay, 527 million in inflows. This is sort of almost entirely Bitcoin. Sort of altcoins not seeing all that much this week. 486 on Bitcoin, negative on Ethereum. It's been very quiet. 8.9 million into multi-asset, pretty good. 4.5 into Solana, and then still top altcoin of sort of every week for the past sort of 5 or 6 weeks, I think. XRP, 14.7 million. So people are loving that. Negative on Cardano, Litecoin, slight positive on Cardano. 3 million into Chainlink, I thought was quite good. A little bit going into short Bitcoin. People loving the shorts. And some fair amount into others, 5.9 million, sort of excluding all of those. And yeah, by region, sort of bit of a mixed bag after pretty much everyone being positive last week. Decent inflow into Brazil, Canada, sort of 43 million outflows. So some of this could just be money moving around into alternative ETFs maybe. But yeah, I'm guessing some of this is just selling and buying stocks or buying whatever, and then vice versa in somewhere like Switzerland, maybe 57 million in inflows. So yeah, bit of a mixed bag on there. Looking at this week's more recent inflows, or possibly lack of. Did have one day on the Ethereum with BlackRock having 276 million of inflow, so compared to some of these days where we're getting nothing at all. I thought that was quite good. Had a full week of inflows on Ethereum, 83 million, a couple of sort of low double figures, and then yet another totally flat day. No inflows or outflows from all of the ETFs. Is a little bit strange. So got one last week, but yeah, that's Ethereum. It is largely very quiet. Bitcoin's been a little more mixed. Sort of Monday got a 230 million outflow, as always, sort of, or as generally, it's all the other ETFs and not BlackRock. Fidelity sort of struggling to hold on to too much assets at the moment. Every time they sort of get a reasonably positive day, it's followed up by almost all of that being wiped out. And yeah, BlackRock sort of resumed to inflows, 249 million. So yeah, we got sort of minus 230, 340, 66, minus 140 and 170. So it's mixed bag and sort of largely a wash for the week. It'll still be positive, but yeah, the CoinShares report is sort of going to look a little bit more muted, even more so than this week. So this is old news. It's from Monday, but I'm sure everyone sort of would benefit from just being reminded of it, not to be getting on the exchanges and taking crazy leverage, because we had $10 billion. It was sort of initially reported as 2.1 billion of liquidations, and the Bybit CEO sort of came out and said, well, just us alone had 2.1 billion or more, and we think it's more like 10 billion. They were saying the APIs basically couldn't keep up with recording everyone that was getting liquidated. So yeah, we saw even on a sort of incredibly down day like Monday, some people were losing money shorting Bitcoin. So presumably on sort of 20x, 50x leverage, and as soon as you get a sort of relief spike up for a few minutes, they get wiped out, and on a down day, you've lost money shorting Bitcoin. I think that has to be the headline to sort of remind you, no leverage, or no leverage that you can get an enforced liquidation on. So yeah, 730,000 traders were caught in the liquidation event, and that's fairly poor. The biggest single liquidation was $25.6 million. So that's pretty harsh. Again, February 2nd, a savvy trader made $16 million, but on a 50x short position. So yeah, you can imagine somebody else shorting that has ended up losing money, because it does go up 2% during a few minutes of these declines. So yeah, people always highlight the person that gains, and not generally the person that loses on Twitter and sort of social media. So yeah, that's always my advice. No open leverage that you can get liquidated on. A little bit of a strange one with MicroStrategy. So he tweeted on Monday that they hadn't bought any. I guess sort of feels like he has to tweet every Monday now and do their sort of little black background picture. And yeah, sort of basically said that they hadn't bought any, and just reminded people how much they've got. And they have since unusually changed their name to Strategy with a little b. So yeah, not wanting to be micro anymore, or sort of God knows why he's doing this. Rather awkward photo of Michael with Ryan Cohen here. Always thought he seemed a little bit of an awkward guy. I believe still CEO of GameStop, the sort of meme stock company that just happens to have like $5 billion in cash, with sort of seemingly nothing to do with it. People still banging on about the inevitable short squeeze that's going to make GameStop, the biggest company in the world. But yeah, presumably Saylor was sort of trying to convince him to spend some of that on Bitcoin, and sort of maybe turn GameStop back into more of a mainstream meme stock. But yeah, he sort of feels like he needs to keep posting something, I guess, while he's not buying. So we've been waiting for this, the Masari report on Solana for Q4 2024. Obviously a little bit out of date now. This is before the Trump and Melania meme coin launch, and sort of this last month or so has been a little bit rocky. So expecting I suppose some of the figures will look better, but some will look quite a bit worse. Obviously, I did end up sort of front running this report. I thought it was a good time to make my switch into the Solana sort of ecosystem coins, my Gito and Radium and all of them. And yeah, I think this report has largely backed it up. Things looking pretty good. They sort of have their real economic value. Don't sort of break this down all that much, but yeah, it's obviously rocketed up 818 million, up 5,000%. I prefer sort of things like daily fee payers. So this isn't just people sort of signing in and checking their balance. This is daily number of people that sort of send something, buy something, sell something, and pay a fee on it. So basically your daily active users. But yeah, it's a bit better than daily active users, I suppose. Like somebody might log into their wallet, check the balance, and that counts as a daily active user. So this is daily active people doing something useful. And yeah, that's rocketed to 5.1 million, up from 1.9 million just the previous quarter, and 191,000 in Q4 last year. So 2,500%. Average transaction fee is up 200%, but we'll come to that a little bit later. Validators finally on the up again. They sort of knocked a lot off after the FTX shutdown and sort of various things, and it sort of hopefully has at least stabilised around this sort of level and could get on the up. And then, yeah, some of the TVL numbers and DEX volume and things going up as well. Good to see. They never really sort of had too much total value locked. It's always been sort of trading and, not really that much sitting there earning yields and stuff like that. But that's up 486% year on year and sort of 8.7 billion from 5.5 previous quarter. And DEX volume, I think, is probably more important, up to 3.3 billion after sort of being somewhat flat for a few quarters. Admittedly, from last quarter it's up tremendously, but yeah, looking good numbers. A few bits and pieces in here, sort of a repeat of some of the figures above, but stable coins, 5.1 billion. This is up. We sort of know this is up quite a bit since here even, but yeah, just sort of showing good growth, 180% up on last year. DeFi diversity up a little bit, which is good. You don't want it centralized among two smaller platforms. 14 people is relatively good. Liquid staking rate up to 11%. Must admit, I wish I'd kind of never bought any NFTs and had just kept all of my SOL. Could be earning 11% on that. That's pretty good. But here we are. Daily NFT volume is up ever so slightly, 2.7 million from 2.5. It's sort of been on a fair old decline. And yeah, total amount raised and sort of projects funded is down quite a bit from sort of previous months. You sort of think if usage was rocketing up, then it would be nice to see sort of projects funded going up and total amount raised. But yeah, I guess it is mostly meme coins and things at the moment. Still hoping for more. So you can see is a lot of meme coins, obviously. Pump.fun, $235 million dollars worth in Q4, 242% quarter-on-quarter increase, and sort of various other protocols. Radium doing quite well, 74 million in Q4, 268%. So that was part of the reason for buying. Pretty good. DeFi TVL sort of doing quite well. Various sort of platforms: Jupiter, Drift, Camino, Finance on top of Radium. You can see the on the monthly NFTs appear to have sort of bottomed out for the near term at least. Don't know what January. I didn't see what January's numbers were like, but yeah, that's sort of potentially, you've got 4 months in a row of continued growth. Not looking all that bad. This was taken on mostly by Tensor, $103 million in volume. Took the majority share. Magic Eden a little bit down, but yeah, it's certainly down from what it was before, considering we're at sort of close to all-time highs in Q4. Thought the NFTs might have been doing a bit better. Yeah, they unveiled the new phone at Token 2049, the Seeker. This is sort of gather a slightly cheaper phone, and I'm sure that'll be hot with airdrops and all sorts, just like the last one was. Ended up sort of selling out and going a little bit crazy. Deep In, which is sort of my focus at the moment on certainly some of the tokens, Helium and Hive Mapper. Sort of been looking at some of the others as well, and I like the sort of they call it only possible on Solana. It's not only possible on Solana, but at the moment it's they might struggle with some of the other chains, doing it on some of the other chains. So at the moment it's best on Solana, I think I would call it. Payments looking good as well. Visa sort of still piloting things, not exactly sort of ramping up, I wouldn't say. Network usage as well. I do like this chart. So you've got non-vote transactions. Some people sort of focus on total transactions and believe that that will be down. You got sort of 277 million in Q3, and that's down a little bit in Q4, but that is vote transactions down, and non-vote transactions, being sort of actual usage, is up 31%. So yeah, that's been sort of a little bit up and down, but sort of trending up, you would say. Daily fee payers obviously up enormously. Signers. So that's sort of, some of that is people just logging in, checking the balance and that sort of thing. New fee payers, 3.8 million people, and then God only knows what Trump and Melania meme coins are going to do to that. Another thing people focus on is the transaction fee. So people are sort of saying, transaction fees are up 20x, 2,300% year on year. So it's becoming not a cheap chain anymore, and it won't get used and all that. But they have these local fee markets, and people who sort of basically people who really, really want a transaction to go through can pay extra, and they sort of focus on this median transaction fee. So if you take all the transactions and find the middle one, then that is 0.0016 of a cent, where it was sort of rather 0.16 cents rather than sort of nearly 5 cents on the average. So basically the majority of people pay a sixth of a cent, and the people who really want it to go through pay 5 cents, which isn't that bad really. So yeah, the you'd probably say the vast majority of people are paying much less than 1 cent, which is very, very good. And you can pay a little bit more. We sort of getting to the point with Ethereum of sort of people, on average paying like $10 or something, and then people who were sniping NFTs and all sorts, paying $100 per transaction. So that's a bit ridiculous. Never going to get mainstream usage with those sort of figures. So basically, there's loads of good stuff in here. I thought it looks really promising. It looks to be sort of taking a lot of market share from Ethereum in sort of lots of areas, and I would say looks the most promising L1 at the moment. There's obviously sort of other chains that are up and coming and sort of have potential. People still looking at Sui and Aptos and sort of various other things, and looking at the L2s on Ethereum, potentially sort of breaking out on their own. Coinbase is a base looking to maybe launch a token. That's not come from them, but people speculating. But yeah, as far as actual usage being there, it seems to be Solana at the moment. So yeah, I haven't gone through everything here, but you're welcome to take a look yourself. So something people do often track is stablecoin market cap. I've sort of pointed out before, and sort of saying basically when it goes up, that's people putting fiat into stable coins to then buy crypto. I don't always think that's the case, because you are getting stable coins used a lot more for sort of remittance and money transfers, basically. So you'll get people sort of in emerging market countries maybe who sort of don't have access to cheap money transfers, may sort of buy Tether and then just convert Tether into their local currency on the other end. Send money to someone in Tether, then they convert it maybe in another country, and there could be sort of no intention of buying any other crypto other than Tether. So that sort of is good for Tether. It makes them sort of be able to issue more and buy more treasuries, and then buy more Bitcoin and gold and things with the profits. But may not always be an indication of money going into crypto, because, and as well, not everyone needs to buy Tether or sort of USDC to be able to then buy crypto. You can go on Kraken or Coinbase or whatever and buy Bitcoin and sort of various other crypto straight with pounds. So maybe not the indication that it used to be, but certainly, for that amount that still does apply. You've had sort of 2.5 billion of Tether minted in the last month, or the last week actually, and sort of 5 billion in the last month. It's really kicked off. Looks like right on the day of the election. was at 120 billion and is now 141. So rather nice. USDC, I believe, is looking similar. Has done about 2.5 billion of newly minted tokens, same as Tether in the last month, and is up even more so, 10 billion in the last month. And guessing, yeah, sort of started to really kick off on the day of the election. So people were expecting quite a lot, I believe. $20 billion. So it's pretty much $20 billion added on to both USDC and Tether. So yeah, we'll have to see where all this goes. I wouldn't think this means 40 billion has, is going to suddenly go into crypto. This sort of potentially just means people are seeing crypto and stable coins as sort of more legal to use, and it could just be, as I say, people doing money transfers or wanting to buy stable coins or wanting to buy dollars for whatever reason, and they can't sort of without crypto. But yeah, 40 billion in new stable coins. And then lastly, not sort of wishing to stick the knife too much into Ethereum, especially considering I haven't sold any. A lot of people are sort of switching their Ethereum out for something with more potential, I guess they would call it. But yeah, I thought sort of as a bit of a milestone, the total supply of Ethereum has crossed back above where it was at the start of the merge. So yeah, it was sort of rocketing down on all of this usage throughout sort of most of 2023 and up to April time. Everyone was getting excited about it going under 120 million, bit of a sort of landmark figure, and it never did. It turned upwards and has sort of really never looked back since. We've had sort of a couple of days of net burn, but otherwise it's pretty much straight line upwards. Since the burn actually started, it's obviously up from there because they didn't have the merge. It was just burning, so it's about 3 million up from there, and has sort of went largely steady compared to if you stick Bitcoin on there. Since the merge, Bitcoin has had more inflation than Ethereum, but yeah, people still sort of not excited about Ethereum. It just doesn't really know what it wants to be. Fees are still quite expensive. It's not really, hard money, and it's sort of not that usable. So we'll have to see. It's somewhat tempting maybe to sell mine, but yeah, I haven't just yet. Only sort of potentially the rest of this year to go, maybe even sort of half a year to go. So yeah, I think pivoting now sort of could be a mistake, but who knows? So yeah, looking at for the weekly performance, Bitcoin down 3%, not too bad considering some of the others. Solana down 6.4%. Some of the ecosystem obviously doing worse. Ethereum took sort of one of the biggest hits, 15% nearly. On Monday, that, as I say, dropped down to about $2,000. So, yeah, it's picked up a little since then. Chainlink, at minus 18%. And then, yeah, coming into my new Solana ecosystem coins. So, Radium, 20% down. Jito, 17.1% down. Helium, down 10%. Metaplex seems to be a little more stable, 7% down, and Honey down 19%, or that's Hive Mapper's token. So yeah, they've taken a fair whack. Obviously, these were swapped from my other coins, Polygon, VeChain, and all of those. So yeah, from looking at it, some of those have been worse. I think there's a 25% down for the week amongst those. So, yeah, it obviously, looks bad here. I'm already fairly in the red on all 5, but I haven't actually lost a great deal of money at all. I may even be neutral on sort of where I would have been if I kept these tokens. So, yeah, take that as a silver lining, I suppose. Obviously, I could have put it into cash or put it into Bitcoin and done a little bit better, but that's timing the market, and generally I am terrible at it. So yeah, interesting. And what are you guys sort of interested in? What are you buying? Have you sort of, taken a knock and are wanting to get out after all this turbulence? So leave your thoughts in the comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.